I recently finished reading the book The Obstacle is the Way by Ryan Holiday, an amazing read that dives deeper into the philosophy of Stoicism. With these lessons, we can learn the timeless art of turning the most difficult challenges in our lives into our greatest victories and triumphs. In 1855, there was a young man named John D. Rockefeller who had just secured his first job, on his way to becoming a big-time businessman. Things were going well. That is, until panic struck across the nation in 1857. The financial markets crashed, businesses failed, crop prices plummeted, and Western expansion quickly came to a halt. Things were looking grim. While other investors began to lose their minds and take on major losses, Rockefeller chose to look at things a different way. He was inclined to see the opportunities within the disaster and began to capitalize on them. He saw how the market was inherently unpredictable and often vicious, and realized that only the rational and disciplined-minded could hope to profit from it. With this lesson, he found the strength to resist temptation and excitement through all market swings, opting to stay calm and adaptable in all his business dealings. Within 20 years of that first crisis, Rockefeller went on to control 90% of the oil market and became the richest man of his time. Rockefeller, like all great investors, learned to resist impulse in favor of cold hard common sense. He could see that within every obstacle lies an opportunity. This way of life is not unique to just John Rockefeller. In fact, many of the greatest achievers in history, from Thomas Edison to Amelia Earhart to Steve Jobs, learned to embody this perspective into their own lives, always seeing the chance to improve their conditions within every adversity. In the words of former Roman Emperor Marcus Aurelius, the impediment to action advances action. What stands in the way becomes the way. You see, we all come across obstacles in life, both fair and unfair. But what you'll discover time and time again is that what matters most is not what these obstacles actually are, but how we see them, how we react to them, and whether or not we keep our composure when they appear. Early on in World War II, Germany deployed an attack strategy called Blitzkrieg that was taking Europe by storm. To avoid drawn-out trench warfare like that of World War I, the Germans decided to concentrate their tanks and mobile troops into narrow divisions, much like the tip of a spear, rushing quickly through territories and catching enemies completely unprepared. The Blitzkrieg strategy was designed to capitalize on the flinch of their foes, who would lose their composure at the sight of a seemingly overwhelming force. While other military generals gave in to these fears and doubts, General Dwight D. Eisenhower decided to hold his nerve and control his emotions. Through this framework, he saw the opportunity inside of the obstacle rather than simply the obstacle that threatened them. After reassessment, the Allies learned that as long as they could bend and not break, the German forces rushing in could be surrounded, caught within a net, and find themselves directly in the meat grinder, as General Patton put it. With this newfound confidence in their counteroffense, the Allied troops were able to turn the momentum around, winning more battles going forward and eventually the whole war. There's a lot to be learned from these events. Firstly, although our doubts may feel real, they have very little bearing on what is and isn't possible. As we found out, the Blitzkrieg strategy was beatable, but all too often, military leaders were frozen by how mighty the oncoming force looked. When we believe in the obstacle more than we believe in the goal, which do you think will inevitably triumph? It's often our preconceptions that are the problem. They tell us that things should or need to be a certain way, when really it's all fair game, and every situation is an opportunity for us to act our best. Problems are rarely as bad as we think, or rather, they're precisely as bad as we think they are. Now, you may not be a military general, but I'm sure there's battles within your own life where you aren't seeing the whole picture. Let's say your boss drives you crazy. Every day at work is filled with bitterness and resentment. But what are you not choosing to see? If you're truly at the end of the rope with your boss and are contemplating quitting, you have a unique chance to grow and improve yourself. You can take on new projects for the sake of adding to your resume. You can study your bad boss and learn from their mistakes. You can try new communication styles and stand up for yourself, all knowing you have the safety net of quitting to find a better job with your new knowledge and skill sets. Or what about a longtime rival at work, the one competing for the same promotion and causing you headaches. Note the fact that this person also keeps you alert, raises the stakes, and motivates you to come prepared with more creative solutions. They're actually a net positive because they're making you both stronger and sharper. You feel lonely. Great. Now you realize the importance of going out and making friends. You feel nervous about a presentation. Good. Now you recognize the value of preparation and have a better place to focus your energy. You're insecure about your body. Awesome. Now you have the opportunity to build more confidence through consistent exercise. The moral of the story is that blessings and burdens are not mutually exclusive. The extent of your struggle will also determine the extent of your growth. So the real enemy is any perception that prevents us from seeing this reality. In 1914, Thomas Edison returned home early one day from his laboratory. Suddenly, a man came rushing into his home to deliver some urgent news. A fire had broken out within his research and production facility. When Edison finally arrived at the scene, he didn't cry or get angry. Instead, he went and found his son, and with excitement, he told him, "Go get your mother and all her friends. They'll never see a fire like this again." In this response, Edison embodied a critical formula for human greatness that the Stoics referred to as amor fati, the love of fate and everything that happens to us. Our world is ruled by external factors, and there are things outside of our control. Promises are not always kept, rules are not always followed, and you don't always get what you've rightfully earned. There will always be things that go wrong, and these events are to be expected. The best thing we can do to endure these sorts of tragedies and setbacks is to simply accept and appreciate them. As the Stoics commanded themselves, cheerfulness in all situations, especially the bad ones. You must learn to embrace your reality. It's not, "I'm okay with this." It's not, "I think I feel good about this." But it's to say to yourself, "I feel great about it. Because if it happened, then it was meant to happen. And I'm glad that it did when it did. I am meant to make the most out of this." It's a little unnatural at first to feel gratitude for all things, especially the things we never wanted to happen in the first place. But at this point, we know the opportunities and benefits that lie within adversities. We know that in overcoming them, we will emerge stronger, sharper, and more empowered. There's very little reason to delay such feelings. Why acknowledge later that it was for the best when we could have felt that same realization and growth much sooner? The Romans had a saying that will tie these perspectives all together. As the saying goes, memento mori. Remember, you are mortal. You see, death doesn't make life pointless, but rather purposeful. Reminding ourselves each day that we will die helps us treat our time as a gift. In the shadow of death, prioritization and doing the right thing becomes easier. Why feel fear? Why not take the risk? Why let yourself and others down? Life will be over soon enough, so we may as well use the precious time we have left to live it right, face our obstacles, and achieve our greatness. If you enjoyed this video, please consider leaving a like and subscribing. If you want to learn more about the lessons of this book in depth, consider buying it through the link in the description. It will help me out at no additional charge to you. Thanks for watching, and make sure to check out some of my latest videos here.